Inferno, Canto 23. Dante is saved by Virgil from the demons who pursue them. In the sixth chasm are punished the hypocrites, who are condemned to pace continually round the gulf under the pressure of cloaks, who are gilt without but lined inside with lead. Catalano, Lodoringo, Cyathus, Anas.
Silent and slow our lonely path we trod, the one before, the other close behind, like minor friars proceeding on their road. On Aesop's fable were my thoughts employed. How this encounter brought it to my mind. The frog and the mouse were by the kite destroyed, for greater likeness bear not yes and yea, than if attentively compared they be, from first to last these scenes of strife display. As from one thought another oft will start, so rose from this another presently, which with redoubled terror filled my heart. For I considered, mocked and taunted thus, and we the cause, full surely they have ground to feel annoy, and with be wroth with us. If to ill will be added rage, I fear, they will pursue, more vengeful than the hound, who gripes within his teeth some timid hare. In now my locks stood bristling with affright, as I intently listened in the rear. "O master," I exclaimed, "the demon's spite fills me with dread, unless thou canst conceal thyself and me. Behold, they now are near, and I already seem their hooks to feel. Were I a mirror, not thine outward face should I," he said, "more speedily receive than doth my soul thy inward wish embrace. Thy thought in now assimilates to mine, and so alike the expression which they give, that I from both have formed the same design. If on the right the bank is so inclined, that to the chasm adjoining me may hide. This fancied chase we soon shall leave behind." Scarce had he time his counsel to suggest, ere I beheld the fiends approaching nigh, with wings outspread, our progress to arrest. In haste my leader caught me in his arm, like to a mother wakened by a cry, who seeing flames around her in alarm seizes her son, intent in flight alone, caring for him much more than for herself, around her but a single garment thrown. Down from the summit of the rocky bank, supine he cast him to that pendant shelf, which to the next partition formed a flank. So quickly never water urged its course, to turn a mill in narrows sluice compressed. Where nearest to the spokes it rolls with force, as o'er that ridge my master hastened on, clasping me closely to his sheltering breast, not as a comrade, but a darling son. Scarce had his feet attained the rocky bed, when on the height above, to sight confessed, the fiends appeared, but naught had we to dread. For that supreme omniscient providence, which gave the fifth partition to their sway, forbade them ever to depart from thence. Pacing around with weary steps and slow, a painted tribe of spirits I survey, whose haggard looks express fatigue and woe. Cloaks had they on, with hoods which reached low down, before their eyes like those in fashion made, worn by the cloistered brethren at Cologne. Outside with dazzling gold they glittered bright, inside so lined were they with ponderous lead that Frederick's cloaks compared to them were light. O cumbersome to all eternity! Still on the left with them we took our road, intent upon their hopeless misery, but they so slowly did their way pursue, oppressed beneath the insufferable load, that at each step our company was new. Wherefore I said, "O master, look around, and point out someone in this realm of pain, whom I may know by deeds or name renowned." Then of my Tuscan language one aware behind us cried, "Your steps awhile restrained, O ye who hurry through the dusky air. Perhaps from me thou mayst obtain thy need." On which my master turned and said to me, "Pause, and henceforward at his pace proceed." I paused, and two I saw, whose visage showed excessive eagerness with me to be. But the weighted hindered and the narrow road. When they arrived, they eyed me with a look, askance and full of wonder, silently. Then turning one, the other thus bespoke. He by the action of his throat appears, alive, if dead, what privilege has he? That as he walks no weighty robe he bears. "O Tuscan, thou who comest," they exclaimed, To this said college of hypocrisy, deign to inform us what may be thy name. I answered, At that city was I born, laved by fair Arno as she floweth by, and this the body I have always worn. But who are ye whose grief adorn your cheeks, flows, and as I see, with so profuse a tide? And what affliction thus a passage seeks? So overwhelming is the ponderous lead which lines our orange mantles, one replied, that sighs burst hissing from the o'er-blanched head. We both were from Bologna, joyous friars, I Catalona, Lotaringo he, elected by our country for umpires, as some unbiased man is by the state, often chosen to keep peace, and such we were, as round Gardingo may be witnessed yet. Friars, I began, your vile hypocrisies. I checked myself, for lo, one crucified and staked to earth appeared before my eyes. On seeing me throughout his frame he writhed, Friar Catalan, who straight his plight descried, as through his beard with many a sigh he breathed, exclaimed, before the lies transfixed the shade, who counsel gave, that for the people's weal it was expedient one to death be led. Prostrate he lies and naked on the road, as thou beholdst, and 'tis his fate to feel each traveller's weight and groan beneath the load. In the same ditch his father Annas lies, and all the rest who of that council were, which to the Jews caused such calamities. Then saw I Virgil marveling awhile, to see him stretched so despicably there, and doomed forever to such base exile. Next of the friar he sought intelligence. Unless ye are forbidden, tell, he said, if on the road lies any opening hence, by which we both in safety may retire, and leave the baleful pit, nor aught of aid for the back angels on our road require. He answered him, More near than you suppose, from the main circle juts a rocky bridge, whose arch o'er all the deep entrenchment goes. Here it is broken, and no passage lends, but ye may clamber o'er its ruined ridge, which in a heap above the fosse extends. With head inclined, awhile my leader stood, then said, I'll did he answer to our need, who with his hooks there rends a sinful crowd. To him the friar, much of the devil's vice I at Bologna heard, and this indeed, he is a liar and father of all lies. Which mighty strides my guide indignant sped, anger depicted somewhat from his face, wherefore I left these souls oppressed by lead, the much-loved footsteps of my guide to trace.